What's up, y'all? It's Ashley.
I'm Fee.
It's Melanie.
And Codie here. And you've tapped into
The Mama Stand.
We're all mamas, and we've got 11 kids between the four of us. And let's just say we are tired. But we're also friends who are going through this journey of motherhood together.
Each week, we are giving you some laughs, maybe some tears, sharing our personal stories, and of course, giving advice, what we hope is helpful.
This is the show we wish we had before becoming mamas.
So grandmas, aunties, sisters, uncles, daddies, brothers, everybody who's in the village of raising children, we got you.
Shall we get into it, ladies?
Let's do it. You guys, we're missing somebody.
We are. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Ashley. Ashley's in Columbus every week.
Every week.
Constantly.
Where she's from.
Every week.
Yeah.
We're happy for her. She's doing good things.
Yeah.
Lots of busy things, but it's not the same without her.
It is not. But that's why we talking about something that Ashley don't know nothing about.
Don't know nothing.
Nothing.
And she actually doesn't want to know anything about it because she's expressed many times how she feels about this subject.
Yeah.
Boys.
Boys.
As children.
It's
As
a
children.
trip how someone can have, like, you have 3 boys. She has 4 girls. I only know boy, girl. You only
That's
know
crazy.
boy, girl.
I don't know
Just
nothing
the
about it.
idea of only getting one thing.
Thing is, too, I also came from boy girl. So I have a brother, and it's me, just me and my brother. So it's interesting to like know those dynamics. I don't know. I felt like I needed a boy. I don't know if that sounds crazy. I felt like I did. My brother, my older brother, he's 7 years older than me. He has 3 daughters.
Yeah.
3 daughters. And I was there for each and every one of them. And I helped, raise them and, guide them and be there watching their development. And when I got pregnant, I was definitely like, I don't know. Like, I was actually willing to wait till the end to find out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was like, this is one of life's true, pure, honest miracles and surprises. Like, Jared was like, nah, we ain't playing that. I need to know what we're having. And I was like, okay, fine. But I guess because I had like surrendered to the idea of not like caring or needing to know before, I was like, whatever. But I'm not gonna lie. When I found out I was having a boy, I was very, very happy.
Why?
Because I felt like I know what it is to be a girl, and I was a part of those 3 girls raising their lives, and all my friends that had kids at that point that had daughters, and I wanted a different experience. I wanted to know what it was like to raise a boy. And like, what would my son be like? Like, I think when you're like a woman, you kind of are just like, oh, she's a little me. She's got my spicy personality, or she this, that, and you see yourself in your daughter. But I wanted to see what my son would feel like and who he would be, and like how I would develop a relationship with him with that. And I was very excited that we had a boy first.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, first of all, I have a sister and my mom has a sister. And I didn't know that my sister could make boys, right? And my sister's very girly. So it was kind of like girls everywhere. And my sister had 2 boys back to back, like a year apart. And it was like, oh, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Like this girly girl who came from a girl with a girl has a boy.
The daddy. That's
Like,
how
it's
it happened.
crazy.
Daddy determines.
And then, as y'all may or may not know, actually, I had Brooks. But when I had the twins, my sister had another baby. So her youngest and her oldest are 10 years apart. Her youngest and her oldest 2 are 10 years apart. So my mom she went from being a grandmother of 3 to a grandmother of 6 in 1 week.
Wow.
All boys.
Wow.
Oh.
Like my youngest nephew is born like 3 days after the twins.
Whoa.
Wow.
All these boys. And just my mama as their grandmother. And so I didn't know we could make boys until my sister did. And I was like, okay, well, I'm open.
And there you
Whatever
were
happens,
blessed.
happens. Yeah. I never was really partial.
What about you, Fee?
I'm like, okay, so I wanted a boy first. I don't know. Now when I'm really thinking about it, why was I so wanting a boy? I don't know. I think maybe because I had a sister. I don't really know what the answer is. But
Did you have an older brother? You have an older brother.
And I have an older brher.
So I have an older
Yeah.
brother too. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Maybe.
Even though he drove me crazy growing up. Like,
Insane. Yeah.
but I liked having an older brother.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what my logic was behind that, but I'm very happy with it being like the order that it's in, Peace being first, because I feel like she's super responsible. She just, I couldn't imagine them being switched, you know, like at all. But having my boy, when I finally when I was pregnant, I was like, this gotta be it. This gotta be my boy.
The second
Really?
time.
Wait, the first
Yeah.
time or the second time?
The second time.
Did you wait to find out?
Yeah. No. I didn't wait to find out. We found out. So we were looking at the screen, doing the 3D ultrasound, and literally she didn't even have to tell me. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I can see a penis.
Yeah.
Like, this is what it
Ta-da!
is. Yeah. But I definitely feel like there is a difference in raising boy and girl 100,000%.
Wait, I have a question before you
Yeah.
even talk about the difference.
Yeah.
Oh, because this thing on the internet, right? This woman talking about being a boy mom, but she has a girl too. So, like, do you consider I think it's obvious, but do you consider yourself like boy mom and girl mom? Is it a weird thing to say?
I think it's a weird thing to say, in my opinion.
Either one?
Well, because I have both, I feel like it would be weird to be like, oh, I'm a boy mom is you. Like, you're a boy mom. You have all boys.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like I was a
Yeah.
boy mom until Kaya came along. I always used to be like, boy mom, I'm a boy mom. And I
Yeah.
actually always thought that if I ever had a second child, it would be a boy. Like, I was convinced.
Yeah.
Like, I did not see daughter in the realm of my future of children. If there was a second child, I always saw myself with 2 boys.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like whatever that means, feeling natural to be a boy mom. I just thought, yeah, that's the only vision I have for myself as a parent. It was
Yeah.
weird. And then Kaya came along and changed that whole game up.
Mhm.
Brought all my fears to life. Hair,
Yeah.
personality,
Girl.
giving me all my passion back to me.
girl.
Yeah, that one.
You
there.
know what? That's the one thing I remember about, and I never like thought I was gonna have a girl. I just didn't know, didn't care. And then when I found out it was a boy, I was like relieved because of hair. I was like, I can't do my hair and somebody else's hair.
That's at this part.
So I'll be great. I'll
This
be
is the part.
good with this, right? But then I get these twins
Who
with
have
all
all the
the
hair.
hair.
Child.
And so now I have the best of all the worlds.
All the worlds.
I love the hair part. Ooh, me and Peace have so much fun doing her hair because it's a sit down moment. It's I can practice the things I've always wanted to practice because my little sister was not a girly girl at all. She was like one of the boys outside skateboarding. And so I remember always being like, God, like I asked for a sister, but it wasn't supposed to be like this. Like she doesn't let me dress her up or do anything. But with Peace, I feel like I get to do that.
to
And
do
she's
that.
like, oh, I love it. Mom, can you lay my baby hairs down? Mom, can we try this new style? We'll like go on Pinterest and find her things.
I'm waiting, child, because right now Kaya has no patience to get her hair done. She hates
Girl,
it.
she got so much
Yeah.
hair.
She has so much hair.
She has so
Okay,
much
but wait, I
hair.
want to go back to what you were saying about. Wait, we were talking about this video.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so there's this video on the internet where this woman who has a boy and a girl was talking about how much she loves her girl, but that her boy has her heart. And then the response to the video was that, you know, it's so cringy to say you're a boy mom when you have both. And the way that she's like talking about her son differently than her daughter. Child, I disagree with like the feedback, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
was just curious if you guys saw it because they trying to say boy mom is like a bad term now. And I'm like, no.
No.
Everybody calm down.
Yeah,
Right?
like, that's
Say
not
about
a bad
that.
term.
Okay, it's not a bad term.
Yeah.
I think the thing that's cringy is that people make maybe temporary statements which are permanent, like history at this
Yeah.
point
Mhm.
on the internet.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so it's like,
Yeah.
I think they're thinking about the daughter. And I think a lot of like even the responses that came back were of daughters who definitely felt the favoritism
Mhm.
of the boy versus being the daughter when it came to the mom. I know for me, growing up, my parents were way more lenient with my brother than they were with me. I never thought that was like, well, nah, I ain't even gonna lie. His nickname in the family was Golden Boy, like Golden Child. He
Wait,
was
this the same child that got left on Halloween? Or was that you?
no, that was me.
Oh,
That was me.
just kidding.
That was me. I got
Sorry,
left on
Mama
Halloween.
Donna.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Donna. No, my brother literally is the oldest grandson. We have one cousin who is 6 months older than him, but they're born in the same year. She was the one who lived with my grandparents. But when my brother came along, he was son to everybody. Golden Child. This was literally
Wow.
his name. Like I would
Yeah.
say, you're the Golden Child, and everybody would be like, like because he was so revered as the boy that came along and changed the family forever and everyone. And I was just like, he's not nice, guys. He's not a nice person. My brother and I get along great now. But I was under that thing. I was under that like shadow of always feeling like my brother was
The favorite?
the favorite?
Yeah.
Favored. He was favored
Favored.
over me. But it never came from like I thought that my parents didn't love me or love me differently. It felt just because like he could just do no wrong.
Yeah.
Like he could just get away with things. He could just.
Did you feel then like it was because he was a boy?
Yes, and my
Oh.
parents made it very clear that it was because he was a boy. You're my girl child. You're my girl child. You gotta like it's like there was definitely a double standard when it
Yeah.
came to how girls were raised and how
Yeah.
boys were raised.
Yeah.
And my brother had a lot more freedom and a lot more leniency, even though my parents were strict with him too, compared to like our other friends, because child of immigrants, hello. But like my brother was definitely allowed to do things that I was not allowed to do when I got to that age.
Yeah.
And so I definitely saw this difference in how my parents were raising a son versus raising a daughter. But I will say that I actually was happy to, like I said this before, I was happy to have an older brother. So I felt like it actually kept me in line a little bit more. I felt like my brother wasn't just like my homie brother until a certain age. Before that, I feared him. Like I was terrified. Like if my brother found out I was doing any mess, like he was coming for me more than my dad. So it kept me in line.
How much older?
7. He's 7 years older than me. Well,
Sheesh.
Cam is 6 years older than Kaya.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like doing this repeat history thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't know. I'll say that now that I have both, I definitely try to keep in mind that I'm not trying to be like, oh, a boy, like, because I do feel like I could be like, oh, boys are so different than girls, you know? But they're also, I don't know if that's true. And I know if Ashley was here, she would definitely be like, that's not true.
No, she
My
definitely
daughters
would,
do all the
yes.
things that boys do and act like boys and do the same. But I personally feel, just biologically, I feel like women, we are so much more, we have so many more emotions, I think, to process. Like, I think we're all feeling the emotions.
Girl, the amount of emotion in my house right now.
But this is what I'm saying is that I think that like, I don't know, like, and I see it only with my daughter. My daughter is a absolute like screamer. Like I'm frustrated because I can't express myself. But where my son is emotional, but he's not as, he doesn't express like, I'm having a hard time expressing it. Like he doesn't express it as volatile as she does, you know? And like, and it kind of goes to these like weird stereotypes. It's that like women are so emotional and we can't control our emotions. And I don't want to put that on my daughter. I just see her for being a very passionate, you know, child in this world that she's frustrated because she can't express herself. But my son has many emotions.
Yeah.
He just expresses them differently. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I don't want to say that that's gender appropriate.
But I
you
also
know?
have nothing to compare to,
specific.
right? But everything that you're saying about Kaya, like I feel in my home deeply. And to the point where, and this may, you know, veer to a different space, like I'm trying to understand the difference between like nervous system dysregulation and like emotion, right? And because there's so much happening right now that I'm like, I don't know how to help you. I just want to help them all better articulate what they're feeling.
Yeah.
So which brings me to a question. How do you feel like you're intentionally, and this is just the boy piece, right? Because Ashley's not here, so we're going to focus on these boys for a second, but obviously compared to the girls as you want to. But how do you feel like you're like intentionally trying to raise your boys? What are the things that come to mind that you're like, I want to make sure that they do this? Like for me, articulating their emotions is one of those things.
Yeah.
I want them to feel them, recognize them, and be able to talk about them.
Yeah. I would probably say the same. Zen's emotions, they both have big emotions. Peace, even at the same age as Zen, she was able to regulate her emotions quicker and able to really process. Zen would just like fly off the handle and is super emotional. So having him learn to have the feelings, have the emotions, but this is how we handle that. It doesn't have to be this big outburst, you know? But I would say emotional intelligence, I feel like, is very, very important to me when raising him. And also him knowing it's important to help. Like this idea, I feel like we're farther away from the idea that women are supposed to stay in the house and be homemakers and all this BS. But Zen knows he has to be a part of it. Like, okay, the trash is full. You're strong enough and you know how to pull the trash out and just drag it to the front door. So also being helpful, I feel like.
Do you make Peace take out the trash?
I make them both do like everything. Everything is very, very even in our household. Because I'm like, it's both of y'all job. You know,
I've been trying to rephrase that too, or reframe it. Like, I think from a conversation that we all had, like as in taking care of your home.
Yes.
Right. It's not like do this. It's a chore. Or it's, you know, something that, you know, I'm telling you to do, but it's like this y'all house too.
Yeah.
Take out the trash, pick up your toys, take care of your space. So.
Yeah, I think the emotional intelligence part is a big part for me, because I think that that's something that I feel like I've gained on my evolution as a healing human being.
Yeah.
And so I think that when I had my son, he definitely came and he was very wise, and he was always really good at articulating his emotions, which I really appreciate. And I kind of attribute, I think, that to me being in that season of my life. So I was able to, I think, give him and assist him through that as well. The emotional intelligence part is really important, but also the independence part, I think, for me is big for my son. Because again, I don't, having a daughter as well, like seeing their personalities and just seeing who they are, not based off of like what's stereotypically girl or boy.
Yeah.
Cameron is more dependent. And so what I'm teaching him to do is to learn the independence of, hey, you have to be responsible for yourself in this life. You know, you're a child and we're here to help provide you, but you have to care. You have to show up. You have to put the effort in. And I think that that's something that I want him to take as he grows and becomes a man.
Yeah.
Because in this life, as a Black man in this world as well, like you have to show up for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, without getting too deep into the world is, you know, not doing you any favors. And as a Black person, you're at the, you know, none of this. I just want him to have that fabric inside of him that he knows that like it's his responsibility to show up and be a good human being for himself in this world.
When
know?
you say he's too dependent, do you mean like in terms of you have to tell him and remind him to do stuff?
We have to tell him and remind him to do everything.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's funny because my parents will say stuff like that. They'll be like, oh, well, that's boys. You know, that's boys. And I'm like, but is it? Like, is it? Because, you know, like,
Felicia sometimes laughs like an old lady. Like, girl.
Well, because I do feel like the older generation always says that, well, you know, it's boys. And I'm like, no, can we unpack this a little bit more?
Hello?
I'm like, no, it's not.
It's not.
No.
This is why we made excuses for men and their
no.
patriarchal behavior, because they were like, it's the good old boys club. No,
no, it's not.
No, it's not. And I'm really like a big believer that like I even do this with Jared, because like I think Jared also too carries a lot of that like old school stuff sometimes. And, you know, I'm sitting here being very proactive with our son to be like, there is no limiting belief. I want you to believe that you could do anything that you want to do if you try.
Yeah.
So Jared is like, oh, I don't cook. And I don't know how to cook. I was like, well, you don't know how to cook because you don't try to cook.
Yeah.
If you try to cook, you mean to tell me that you don't think you could figure it out? Like, it's not like trying to do something with 3 arms that you've never had. Like you just have to try to do it. And so when I hear Jared say those types of things, I don't think that comes necessarily because he helps out. Jared's not very like, it's like gender specific. Although he is thermostat dad and he is garbage day dad, because those are just 2 things that he's like, don't touch those. I got it.
Not the thermostat,
Oh,
though.
thermostat. Don't you dare touch the thermostat. That is his like wheelhouse. He's like, who touched the thermostat? I was like, you're thermostat dad. It's you. It's like, is it cold in here? Who turned up the heat? Who touched my air conditioning? I'm like, I had no idea you were this person. But anyways, you know, so I definitely think those limiting beliefs when it comes to like gender roles, I don't want my son to have those things. It's like, you're responsible for our home. There isn't anything you can't contribute to in this home because you're a boy. But that emotional intelligence and like just like confidence to like, I can show up for myself is really important, I think, for him.
Yeah. I always tell my kids too, it's important that they know they have to advocate for themselves. Like, just because you're 9 and you're 5 doesn't mean you can't show up for yourself and say what it is that you need. I feel like
Yes.
that's another thing that's very important, because I say it all the time. I'm like, there's going to be a day where I'm not here anymore, and I want to be able to equip them with everything that they need to go out into the world and be able to handle themselves. I think I've told you guys before, like in terms of even when we're at a restaurant, or let's say we go to Starbucks, and I'm like, you guys go in order.
Yes.
Like, but it's a they're like learning together, you know?
Yeah.
But I think in terms of gender, I'm like, I feel like it's more of like an emotional thing. I feel like one day somebody told men, stop with all the emotions, because they're actually way more emotional than us, in my opinion. I'm like,
So they're just holding it in.
yeah, I think that's exactly what happened. I was like, who
the space to
who
feel,
ran that?
Yeah.
the space to feel things. And I think that,
The man.
do you find that, not to like, call anyone out, but like, I'll just speak for myself. I'm very, very sensitive to like if Jared hits Cameron with any sort of like, hey bro, stop crying.
For sure.
Oh my God, I hate that so
For
much.
sure.
Like, it's so triggering.
Like, and granted, there are times when even I'm like, hey Cam, take a deep breath. Like, let's get it together, because like I said, he can be very emotional as well, which I always want to acknowledge for him. But there's something about his dad saying to him, hey, stop crying, that makes me be like, don't tell my son to stop crying.
Right.
Or the one
Like,
where, when people are like, don't cry like that. Like, girls do that. And I'm like, excuse you?
Yeah, no.
I'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, hold on. No,
No.
I get
very
it's just
triggered.
weird. Yeah,
Me
I don't
too.
know what
Me
it
too.
is.
I get very triggered when I hear men from a generation knowing the things that they haven't healed from, unpacked, and are carrying, put on younger boys these days. Like, don't do that. That's girl behavior. Like, on you do with your sister, don't do that, and blah, blah. Like, I don't ever want that for my son.
Yeah.
Or any of our sons.
Yeah.
I want boys to be able to have the space to feel all the feels
Yeah.
and understand how to process those things safely and confidently, and being like, okay, it's okay. Like, because we have all dealt with men at some point who are unhealed and are like, don't, just pull it out. Just pull the feelings out. Let them go. And then they're like, nah, don't.
I would even, in agreement with you, I would even say, like, gender aside, when it's like you're crying like a baby, even, it's like attaching a wrong to it as opposed to trying to help them. That doesn't mean I have the language all the time, but trying to help them understand what's bothering them, why they're crying the way they're crying, as much as they're crying about whatever they're crying about, like trying to get them to understand it and articulate or understand it and take the deep breaths. Like my kids, a lot of times they're crying and I'm like, guys, take a deep breath. Like pause, count down from 10. All these things that they're fully aware of. We've read all the books and they're like, okay, look at them counting down from 10. They'll count in the book.
Corner.
But when they're really upset, child, it's like, I can't. But my point is just like trying to find the language to get it to that next step of calming down, like being aware. Oh no, baby child.
Do you guys feel you have to, well, Codie, you have all boys, but still, do you feel like you have to overprotect your boy and boys?
From?
The world, anything. Like, is there this
Probably, but that may be my
protection?
personality, child. But yeah, I mean, for sure. Let me figure out where to begin without saying too much. But no, I definitely feel extremely protective of them, and both protecting. So just trying to listen. I'm trying to. What we're working through right now is being at a stage where they can articulate things that are bothering them. And sometimes that's not the thing that's bothering them. So they're saying something and I'm trying to listen and hear them, acknowledge them. But I'm in doubt that that's really the thing, right or wrong. But trying not to discredit them.
Yeah.
But there's still emotion happening that I'm trying to help with. And so that's I feel like sometimes I'm being too overprotective by even like giving it credence. Boo, I know that's not what's bothering you. This was bothering you and this is what you're saying. But I do really want to save that space of like, you can talk to me. And that means I can't be like, that's not what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
So that is a struggle and a thing that I'm juggling right now.
That's that's definitely a tough balance. I feel like I'm in the same space of like, okay, Felicia, you stay under control and regulate your emotions while also trying to help them regulate their emotions. And then this one, I'm like, oh my God. Sometimes it's days that I'm like this morning, not today. everybody in trouble. Ugh.
No, I think the thing that I've seen with relationships with moms and sons that I really admire is when the son is very open with the mom.
Mm-hmm.
Like to the point that some people might be like, TMI, TMI. I'm like, no, TMI. Tell me everything.
Yeah.
Like, please tell me everything. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, and I
agree.
feel like I do this now. I practice like not having a reaction. When Cameron says something that's like, what did you just tell me from school? Like, but I don't want to create that like, oh, what kind of reaction am I gonna? I let it roll like water. Oh, really? That happened? Okay, and then what did you do? And then I'll go to his dad and be like, Cameron told me what, But I want to maintain that relationship with my son.
Yeah.
And I think that in a means to protect him, in a way to be able to help him and give him some things that I feel I can impart as a woman, as his mother, to him that will give him the perspective. The world, I think, is going to push what the men is supposed to be like in the world. Like how you supposed to show up. You know what I mean? Like
the man
what
is
the man's supposed to be
like.
like, cause the boys at school, whatever they're coming from and their daddies and those issues and whatever it is going to come and try to tell him, like, quit crying, boy, blah, 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 blah. Oh, you soft, like all these things. So for me as a woman, I just think it's my responsibility to hear my son, know that he's a man in this world. I don't have that experience, but give him maybe something that allows for him that helps him navigate and protect himself in those those situations that find him where he feels challenged. It's really, I want to know all the things. I ain't even gonna lie. I want to know all the things. Tell me everything.
I feel like I'm like that too. I think Zen is still a little bit too small to really, he'll tell me about things at school, but Peace is more like, Mom, can I talk to you about something? Zen feels comfortable in it. The other day, it's so random. We walked into the house, they're taking their shoes off, and he was like, so Peace, who are you gonna marry when you get older? And I'm noticing that he's more into this idea of like boyfriend, girlfriend, and marriage and all that. So we just like kind of keep an eye and chuckle about it, but I don't know. I feel like when I parent Peace and Zen, I do feel like, and I don't know if it's a gender thing or if it's an age thing or just a level of maturity thing. Yeah. I feel with Peace, I'm a little bit harder on her than I am with Zen. And with Zen, it's more like, oh, Peace, just show him grace. He's still only 5. So it's like a little bit of the dynamics. But with Peace, I'm like, I think of my life as a woman and as a Black woman. And so it's like I need to equip you with as much as possible because when you go out there, it's going to be something a little bit different, But the good thing is that she's receptive and she's getting it. But I feel like I'm protective over both of them, like in their own individual ways, like, Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you... Okay, so we did something fun this weekend. So I was going to ask, like, how do you kind of teach them how to treat, somebody that they're interested in and stuff like that down the line. And you posted a video, Felicia, some time ago, I think, of like maybe doing facials or something with Zen. Like you were doing something that was like self-care with him. And I love that video, and I love videos like it where like we're doing like things that are womanly in terms of how people view them with like our sons. Yeah. And so this weekend, I gave everybody a bath with a candle and like some salts, and we exfoliated our knees and elbow areas.
Baby, can we just pause right there because I want to talk about that with the boys, the hygiene and the self-care.
Ooh, girl.
Baby, teach these boys from a young age.
100%.
They loved it.
Yes.
100%.
I mean, Brooks and I agreed to do it once a week.
Yeah.
So it made me so happy. Like I didn't really know how they would respond to it. I think what they responded to first and foremost was kind of the one-on-one time. And then like, what is this? Yeah. And at first, Brooks was kind of like, I don't see a difference, right? With the exfoliation. And then it comes off in the water and he's like, oh, that's really soft. And I just loved it. Oh, I just was so happy.
Do you put bath bombs in there?
Sometimes, but the kid bath bombs, frankly, we've never done like real ones.
Go to Lush.
It's always the ones, the unicorn or whatever.
Yeah.
It ain't nothing but color. in the tub.
Yeah.
See, the Lush ones are really fun because
They
it'll
are.
have like lavender, and then there's one that like pops into a rose.
Oh, cute.
But we have that, and then they have it's kind of like jets, basically, like a jacuzzi jets thing that I bought and put on the side of the bathtub, and like a little light, because with Zen, when he wants to be quick, he's like, I just want to take a shower.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you need to soak your body. So I was like, okay, we need to make this fun.
Yeah.
But the bath bombs is like, oh, he's like, Mom, can you turn on my music? He wants to listen to reggae.
Yeah.
He wants to light the candle. He wants to
Love
do
Yes,
the jets. He
routine.
wants to change the light. No, it's like a whole
Yeah.
entire thing.
Good.
Oh, I love
It's a whole
that.
thing.
I don't know what it's funny. I don't know why I never thought about like music. They all
it's
are
great.
so musical. They love music.
Yeah.
We don't really leave Aristotle and Lakes in the tub by themselves for too
Yeah,
long.
no.
Even though they keep asking, we want to bathe like Brooks. That means you go downstairs
We're
and
like,
don't come back
no,
for
this
a
is
while.
water,
I'm
baby.
like, whoa,
This is
No.
water. And you are
Yes.
tiny.
But I can definitely do that for Brooks.
Yeah.
He would really like that.
It's a little vibe.
Okay, sidebar.
Mm-hmm.
This is what gets the people really going. Have you guys ever experienced either like dated or been around somebody who was a mama's boy? Like
Oh.
where it was like, ooh.
Yeah.
And what do we define like mama's boy as?
Yeah. I've definitely been around I've dated mama's boys for sure. And it threw me off before because I didn't even see that dynamic growing up with my mom and my brother. So it was very foreign. But now that I have a son, I'm like, oh, I get it. You guys have a bond that is very hard to break, you know?
How did it show up? Like, do you feel like it was beneficial or it was like a hindrance?
Both. I feel like it showed up both ways because on one hand, it's like, well, this is how my mom does things. And it's like,
but I
yeah,
ain't your
but I will
mama.
never be your mom.
I'm never gonna be your mama.
That role is already taken.
Yeah.
So also I felt like I had to explain that part a lot,
Yeah.
which is uncomfortable.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I'm like,
Wait, I
don't want to be your mama.
I wonder if it matters if you're dating a mama's boy, if you and the mama get along. Like, does that make a difference?
Like in his decision?
So
Well, just in your experience of it, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes like, oh, he's a mama's boy kind of gets a bad rap. But
Yeah.
if you get along with the mama, what the problem is?
Look, when I tell
Well-
you the way that me and Tia get along, child, the children's father's mama, that's my dog. I'm like, this worked
Yes.
great in my favor.
yeah, thank you.
Look, we all get along with Tia.
Yeah. I
Everybody
was like, oh,
loves Tia.
she's great to have on your
Yeah,
team.
yeah.
But I think it probably will. I couldn't
think it
imagine.
matters.
I definitely dated someone whose mama I loved. Like loved her.
Yeah.
She loved me. But her son was just
Girl.
being like, he was just not gonna grow up.
And they be
And-
knowing.
and
They
they
be knowing.
knew.
That's why they
Yeah.
love
And so
you
that
too.
and that's why, because they just know. And so I was like,
Yeah.
so also at the same time, I'm also looking at the mama like, I'm like, don't let him do this.
Girl.
Like someone's letting him do this because it's not
Girl.
me.
Yeah.
And I'm getting made out to be the bad guy because I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, grow up
Yeah.
already. Like,
Yep.
and and it's like somebody is enabling this behavior for you to be like this.
Probably
Yeah.
the mama.
And I'll say this too. Like, I think I would like the boy mom or mama's boy thing stigma to kind of change.
Yeah.
Like, I want great men.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I want
I agree.
to be like, oh, you're a great man because you love your mama.
I
You
totally
have a great
agree.
relationship with
Totally
your mom.
agree.
Yep.
You respect women. Your mama did a good job. Like,
Yes.
it's more a reflection of the mom and
I
how
think that
positive
exists
that relationship
too,
could be.
deeply. I do.
Yes.
I think we give credit to that as well. Part of why I asked the question, because when you asked about like, have you ever dated a boy mom? Like, I thought of two right away, and then I was like, but it was never negative. But my memory of it was like, but she liked me, so we was
Yeah.
just cool. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Things didn't work out for other reasons, but like,
yeah.
nah.
Oh, I guess you're thinking about like that
Got no
uncomfortable
problems.
mama's boy situation where the mama don't
Yeah.
like anybody because
Yeah.
she's like so obsessed
Girl,
with her
see
Yeah.
that
son.
one.
That's
yeah,
creepy.
you
I don't
like,
want no parts
girl,
of that.
That's very creepy.
I don't want no part. I don't want no parts. I don't want a part of a mother who just does not want to share her son at all.
Can't
Like
let
that's
go.
can't let
Like,
go.
girl, where's your husband?
I don't want to be that. I don't. Girl,
along.
where's your man?
She's like, you tripping right now.
Tripping. Let that boy grow up. Go out and spread his wings. I definitely I definitely, somebody brought this up to me the other day. They're like, how are you going to feel when Cameron comes? Cameron is a lover boy. Cameron already thinks he has his wife at his school right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. He talks about this little girl like this is his wife. And I'm like, bro.
His wife.
He is a wife. And I literally just let it flow. Like, meanwhile, Jared is like, hey, bro, chill out with all that talk. And I'm like, let this boy feel his feels. Let him feel his feels. I would love for him to be loving to a girl. Like, I would love for him to just know what it is to, like, think of someone, consider someone. Like, it's not, they ain't hanging out. They in recess and there's nothing happening. Like,
literally, it's a crush.
5 minutes a
Literally,
day.
it's a crush. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm very much for that. Like, I'm very much for, like, no, bro, like, one day I look forward to my son finding a person that he can love properly. And hopefully the things that we've taught him make him a wonderful father or partner or husband. Like, that's what I want. I want him to be a great man in this world. And I think that's why I like having a son. I think that I feel a great responsibility to creating a good man in this world.
Yeah.
And I want to feel like that's a part of my mission as a mother and as a woman.
Girl.
You know, because as women, we do incredible things and we're here to do incredible things. And that's just, I think, how we're designed.
Yeah.
But part of our greatness is helping to raise and bring up great boys to men.
Girl,
Like, I
100%.
really do believe that.
That's how I feel.
However, I ain't going to be your mama.
Yeah.
Grown man.
Yeah, no.
On the other side.
Yeah, no. I feel
no.
the same way though. I'm always like a part of my contribution to the world is raising good human beings.
Yes.
Is like to go out into the world and do what you have to do.
Yes.
It's like I would feel like a failure if
For sure.
I didn't. Yeah,
For
I would
sure.
be like, this is crazy. I read this quote the other day on Instagram, and it was saying all the work that you're doing right now for your kids is going to show up when they're married. And so I was like, oh, that's an interesting thing.
Right.
That's an interesting way to think about it. Y'all gonna be married one day?
Right.
That wild.
Also, your cheekbones. Oh my God. I have
The
never seen them so just
the blushing of the cheekbones is blushing,
Yes.
baby.
And thanks,
They are
God,
giving.
thanks, God.
So wait, something that I think about a lot that maybe y'all don't because you also have girls is like what kind of mother-in-law I will be, but also given that like when my children have children, I'm not necessarily the person invited into the room for those moments.
Oh shoot.
Oh, see, so y'all don't think about this.
I didn't
Okay.
think about that part.
Okay.
Oh, I
I was
didn't.
just gonna force
Okay,
my way.
boy
Baby.
moms only.
Baby, I don't want to be in the room. I'm fine.
Right, I'm okay with being
I'm
grandma.
okay. I'm okay.
I'm not saying I have to be, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? But I think about like the relationship that I have with that other person is going to dictate a lot of things. Like we in control in a lot of ways as, you know, as the partner.
Have you seen those TikToks where like the moms are like crying because they're like, my son doesn't come
Girl.
home for Christmas because he goes to his wife's family anymore, and like now he's
I've
always
seen
gone.
them. I ignore them quickly. Like for real.
Because there's a real trigger, I think, for a lot
Yeah.
of moms when it comes to their sons. And, you know, this is the thing that they
Period.
say, sons and daughters, like sons take a wife or a partner and then they leave and
Mm-hmm.
they go to her family.
Yeah.
And then it's because the daughters really, or the wives dictate like the dynamic of the family relationship. And
Which
they
is why this matters.
kind of run that.
Yeah.
What kind
kinda
of
run that.
mother-in-law will I be?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna definitely
And-
have some conversations with Zen. Like, look, this is the way that me and your father did things, okay? I
Yeah.
need you to keep it
You need to
up.
keep it up.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
Yeah. Ugh.
That's stressful to think about. I just kind
Right?
of got thrown off.
Right?
Yeah.
It's super stressful.
It
like,
is.
Don't.
It is. I'd be struggling.
Dang, I never thought about that.
And you
That's
have
wild to
3.
me.
And you have 3
I
times.
know, I
One of them's
know.
going to give it to you.
It's Langston for sure.
One
but,
of them's going to give it to you. One of
but
them's going to give it to you.
I need it to be all of them. Okay. Like but I do feel like it is partially on me. I do feel like I work to cultivate the relationship starting from the very beginning.
I agree.
Yeah.
To like when we get there, I'm a part of the whole.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know?
I agree.
Like we're in
Yes.
this together, the three of
Yeah.
us.
I think that there's also this idea that it has to be separate, you know,
Yeah.
and as y'all know, I love a blended family idea. It just works for me.
Same, sis.
Yeah.
But I think at the beginning it's like, okay, if this person gonna be around, if I'm seeing, I'm like, wow, where's your mom? Me and your mom need to be friends. Mhm.
Exactly.
I need her to not leave me out of the equation. Easter, yes, I will be coming over too.
Yep.
hmm Yeah, I'm like, you're not about to leave me. No,
No.
Peace will handle it.
Daughters.
Peace will be like, yeah. Peace will
Yeah.
be like Zen. Now you know, mom is gonna get her feelings hurt Yeah, peaceful. She got
Langston.
hand on my light.
Langston will
Oh
definitely
my gosh.
keep them in check if they listen
Dang,
to him
that's so
or
crazy to
me.
think about.
Right?
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna leave y'all with that one.
Okay. Well,
Should we do our question of the week?
should we do?
Oh,
Yeah,
we
should we do
do?
these challenges?
I didn't know how much.
What's a challenge that you didn't expect with sons? Ooh, a challenge that I didn't expect with my son
Girl.
was the very, very big
Emotions,
emotions. I think
yeah.
it's the emotion part. Like, I feel we as women, as young girls, are emotional, but Zen, I'll be like, baby, I can't understand what you're saying.
Right.
Because he would, and it'll be, bless his heart, it'll be something so simple. Something that, and peace will laugh. And I'm like, it's not funny. He's really having a moment. Like, leave him alone. She'll be like, Mom, all I did was, I wasn't ready for that level of emotions, but it's definitely made me look at my emotions and be like, where do you need to tighten up a little bit, you little Scorpio? Yeah.
Ooh, challenge.
I didn't think I had an answer. And so I don't even know if this counts because I don't know if it has anything to do with having sons. But I will say as of late, I have been like snapping on them a little bit when they snap on me. And also, as I've mentioned to you guys, they talk to me all at the same time. And then they say, why aren't you listening to me?
Girl, it's so overwhelming.
Like, it's just like, mom, this. And they're asking 3 questions at the exact same time. And then, why aren't you listening to me? Why aren't you answering me? And so I have definitely been like, yo, like many times lately.
Yeah.
And felt bad about it. And so I don't know if that has anything to do with having sons or just having 3 people around the same age all talking to me at the same time. But I have been snappier than I like to be right now.
I will say it's similar. I can't speak for if it's like sons or daughters or whatever, but particularly my son, I feel like our relationship is changing because he's changing and he's growing up. And so I think a place that I used to be at where I was doing a little bit more gentle parenting and being a little bit more like Grace and like, okay, now I'm getting snappy.
Yeah,
because he's getting snappy too. And I'm just like, hold up. I'm like, quickly, I'm like, wait a second. And then I have those moments where I'm like, this isn't you.
Girl.
You never used to talk back like this. What's happening? And now I see him trying to like, feel himself. And I actually said to his dad, I think this is the thing. One of the challenges that I'm having now is that my son is almost as tall as I am. No real talk. Like,
no, I believe
Cameron is 8 years old and he is literally, I'm 5'4", he's probably just under 5 feet. Like we're right there.
Yeah.
And I turned to Jared, I was like, I got a few more years before it's all you. Because you're 6'4" and you can stand over him and y'all can have a conversation about when it becomes bravado. Like, Cameron is sweet, and I'm not thinking like it's a physical thing, but there is, I think, something that happens when your child gets to your height, and then they feel like they're on size with you. And so I think that that's the thing that I'm looking at, where I look at my son and I'm just like, oh my gosh, you're getting taller. You're not this little boy that I look to and I'm like, hey, let's talk here. And now I'm looking at him, it's almost eye to eye.
Yeah.
And, I'm still trying to exercise my authority as the parent figure here. But he's like, sis, I'm gonna be over you in a few years.
Girl.
Those words, exercising your authority. Like,
Yeah.
what does that look like? What does that feel like when they're a certain size and
Correct.
age and voice?
Yes.
And I guess I say that, I don't know, because I feel like I might think of it differently with a girl, but at the end of the day, like, what does exercising authority actually look like when, because mine is not, I'm not 5'4".
No,
so we're not that close yet, but I feel it. I mean, I was even, as you were talking, I was thinking about like, somebody walking past me, kind of bumping me because he's frustrated. And I want to bump back.
Hello.
And then I am bigger. You know what I mean? So right now I bump back and I'm like, ooh. Sorry. Let me give you a hug real quick.
But it's also so challenging because I feel the same way about Peace. Peace is 9. She's getting older. She's going to be going into preteen. And you see so much shifting, like from attitude to why can't I have this thing? And I'm like, girl, because I said no.
Right.
The other day, I was like, I'm this close to snapping. I literally picked up the phone and I was like, you need to talk to your daughter. I was like, I'm not. There's some moments where I'm like, I'm not doing this right now. I don't have the patience.
Yeah.
I don't have the emotional intelligence right now. Damn it. I ran out.
Yeah.
And we just got
Battery's
started for the
empty.
day. But with her, it's like me constantly having to, because she doesn't understand why it's not a big deal.
Right.
But it doesn't matter what you understand right now. It's about what I told you to go and do.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to find this version of me also as a parent. And I was telling their dad, I was like, I'm struggling right now. I'm like, this part is hard.
It is so hard.
Nobody told me about this. But I can't.
No, for real though. But for real, but
like, oh my
even
God.
judging myself for that
Girl.
desire, that response,
Yes.
that's like, did you just? I can yell at you too,
Girl.
I can push you too.
How we gonna feel when that bass drops though in the voice?
Girl, I'm
That's
gonna have to leave. I'm gonna have to just be
That's
like,
why I said, Jared, that's you, bro. 'Cause there's a certain point where
So I said,
just
go to
know.
daddy house.
oh my God.
Go there, your dad. Call your daddy up. How do you feel about the pressure of like what boys should be doing or like not doing? Like, because I think too, like for example, I see Cameron. He's tall. He's naturally like athletic, but he's very interested in other things.
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes I feel like boys are good. Oh, put him in sports. Oh, he's got to be a basketball
Yeah.
player. Like, does he? Like Cam's more creative. I think that he really will thrive in like the arts.
Yeah.
I think he'll really thrive in like theater and like these things like that. And I'm okay with that. Like I'm not big on limiting your children to like specific activities based off of their gender. Like
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
whatever you want to do, you want to do gymnastics, you want to do ballet, I don't care. Like
Yep.
show me an interest in what you want and
Right.
like I will help facilitate that.
Yeah, same.
But I need to
wanna-
see the interest though.
Yeah,
like
I
the
want to
genuine
cultivate
interest.
the interest that they
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
for sure.
And
Yeah.
it starts getting more expensive. I better see some interest because I ain't going up to. I told you guys that time when Peace was trying to do gymnastics to be cute, and I said, "Girl, I said,
Cute
let
is
me tell you
expensive.
right now, baby, we are not coming back after this season. I can already see what it is." And then somebody was like, "No, she can grow into it." I said, "No, I know my kid. Skirt." I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
I'm like, but basketball, she loves basketball. She loves running. This is so interesting. So my sister is very much a tomboy. My sister has always been super athletic, always have all guy friends. Like that's just her energy. She's very tapped into like her alpha. But we were saying how we feel like our mom definitely categorized us. I was like the cheerleader and the girly one, and Natalie was the tomboy one. So we spoke to both parts of my mom, but I was telling Natalie, I was like, I love sports and I wish that my mom would have allowed, but my mom didn't allow me to do it. And I was like, why? And then she was like, it's because we were categorized. So then me and Natalie had this whole deep heart to heart. And I was like, I can't believe you didn't let me play basketball. And so I also try to be mindful of that with the kids. But Zen loves arts. Like we went to an event the other day. Peace wanted to go do something else. Zen was over there doing arts and crafts, like loves to paint, loves to draw, loves to vibe out to reggae. And, he loves to throw a ball or whatever. Yeah. But he's very like, if I don't like it, I'm not doing it. Like, period, So I feel like I'm the same way of allowing them to show me what it is that you want to do and we'll facilitate it, Yeah.
What do you think the most rewarding
I only
part
have boys, y'all. I don't know. Everything.
It is your parenting experience, yeah.
Yeah, it is my sole experience. And if I take the conventional wisdom, which is that, boys love their moms, I would say the most rewarding part has been, all those snuggles, all of that being true and them being just like all up under me. But then like the fear that like, will that last forever? I remember when they were little, I think the babies probably had just been born. I saw like an Instagram video of like someone with like grown daughters, like climbing in the bed with them. And I was like, no one's going to climb in the bed with me. And then I think it was Erica, our nanny who has at the time, like an 18-year-old son. And she was like, no, Abraham be sleeping with me and I will spill their tea because they share it all the time. But like, so I'm hopeful that someone will climb in the bed with me.
You have 3 opportunities for it to happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
I believe in
at
it.
least one.
I believe in it.
For
I
sure.
think the most rewarding thing about having a son specifically is I think the opportunity for him to be the greatest man, like not from a pressure standpoint, but just like the greatest version of a man that he can be as far as like all the things from generations of men. And like when he steps out into the world, wanting him to be a very healed and evolved man that is kind and accepting and open and compassionate and not afraid of those things, a deep feeler and a healer in this world, that he can contribute more healing to the world. I think that would be like the most rewarding thing. And I think that Cameron is just naturally that boy. I think he's always been a kind, old, deep feeling soul. And I think the most rewarding thing is being able to see that that quality in him is still with him when he's a man.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say most rewarding part for me in having a son is understanding the male species. There was so much I did not understand, like, at all. But I feel like Zen has really shifted my perspective and helped me to understand by literally just being his mom, you know? And I think this might sound really weird, but it's not that I didn't think men were, like, not human before, but I definitely feel like Zen helps me see the human in the male species.
The Martians?
Yes, because I was like, I don't understand y'all, and I don't know what it's going to take, but I feel like God was like, here you go. Have a son. There you go. So, yeah, I think the emotional part and having... That's a big question.
Yeah.
His
and
levels.
it's ever evolving.
It's
Girl.
Your son is 5. We've been
Yeah.
in this game 5, 7, and 8 years.
So crazy.
There's so much to see.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's see what our question of the week is today, y'all. Okay, and family, remember that if you have a question for us, you can write us an email at podcasts@blacklove.com or hit us on Instagram at the Mama's Den Podcast on IG, and we'll answer your DMs. All right, so the question of the week. Any tips for how to deal with the anxiety that comes with motherhood?
Cry.
Girl.
Yeah, girl, just only way, what do they say? Only way to is
Two
through.
is through.
There you
Only
go.
way to it is through it.
The end, mic drop.
No, I think cry. I think that's like the first like visceral response. It's like, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna try to figure it out. But I think the anxiety that comes with it is also like just trying to be a good mom. And we talk
Yeah.
about this on the episodes a lot. Like that anxious feeling comes from a place of wanting to do a great job. And sometimes the things that we think are not always true. And so we think that it has to look a certain way or be a certain way, or it went this way for so-and-so. And that all creates anxious thoughts in our systems.
Yeah.
But I think, acknowledging to have grace with yourself and just kind of understanding that, like, it's just, there's temporary feelings and just like moving through them and just doing the best that you can. Like if you did the best that you can, hopefully that helps to settle your anxiety, because that's all you can really do at the end of the day is the best that you can, and ask for the help that you need.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like mine is I'll cry and then I'll pray and then I'll call somebody that I know has the ability to get me up out of that funk.
Yeah.
This morning, it happened to be the father of my children, and I just called, and as soon as he said hello, I just started crying. And he's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't want to do this today. I'm tired. I'm da-da-da-da-da. And he was like, well, do you want a solution or do you want me just to hear you? And I was like, I know what the solution is. I just want you to hear me because you're going through it as well. And he was like, well, life is tough. I think the relatability part in those moments when you're feeling so vulnerable and so like stuck, I feel like helps the most. But that I just cried it out and it was fine. And then I saw a butterfly stuck in this room in the front, and I was just like in such a funky mood and I couldn't shake it. I couldn't
You were like, I'm the butterfly. I'm stuck.
Right.
But the butterfly is such a moment between like me and God. I feel like
Yes.
that's my indication. So I was sitting there just like talking to my Instagram, and I was just like, I can't get over this irritated, anxious mood. Like, what is it? And then the butterfly popped up, and I had to get over it.
Aw.
So here we are.
Hello.
My only little 2 cents is to your point, right? I think with the anxiety is like talking to others.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's there's going to be people who are like, I don't relate. But like at the end of the day, feeling like letting yourself be vulnerable enough to
Yes.
talk about it, like not trying to be cliche. Obviously, you
Yes.
already listening to the Mama's Den podcast if you hear us
Hey.
right now, if you're watching us right now. But like putting yourself in spaces where you're hearing the realities of
Girl.
motherhood
Yes.
helps contextualize or what's the word? Not minimize, but like to see that you're not alone.
Yep.
Yes.
You're not.
Yep.
We all
You
anxious.
are not alone. That's all
You
I
are
can do
not
before we get
alone.
before we get sued. Can't do it anymore. Hope that helped. Sang you a song.
Well, thanks guys, ladies. And for those of you listening out there, that's a wrap on the Mama's Den for today. And you can find us everywhere you get your podcasts. You can watch us on Black Love's YouTube page. New episodes every Tuesdays on video and every Mondays in audio. And if you're watching on YouTube, also click that link down below and subscribe. Okay, don't miss an episode. That's why. Good day.
Bye.